Traders. So first things first, just wanted to express a bit of gratitude to everybody who showed so much love for my first video, whether it was on X or here on YouTube. The message was received loud and clear that a lot of you guys are finding this stuff useful when it comes to learning how to do due diligence on identifying the next penny stock runner. So we doing a DJ Khaled style, baby. We back with another one. The ticker that I'm going to be covering today is YCBD. Now, the first thing that should jump out about YCBD, obviously, is that the float's very low. We got a 6 million float in the 50-cent range, which puts this, float's about the same as the OS, so it puts the float around the same as the market cap in terms of dollar turnover. You like to see low floats because any interest in the company will usually drive the price a lot further. Obviously, it takes less money to move the stock. So that being said, a low float alone is usually not enough to cut it. They're kind of a dime a dozen. If you go around just buying low floats, you're going to get stuck in a lot of companies, and you're going to have a pretty boring portfolio. So you want to look for a little more due diligence and a little bit more of a story when it comes to the setup. And I will tell you this, YCBD has that in spades. You guys might remember 3 things that make kind of smart money shy away from setups is the risk of a delist, the risk of a reverse split, or the risk of dilution, especially heavy dilution. That's one of the things that makes me most intrigued by this setup is the dilution aspect. Some of you guys might remember I actually called this one out in January, and we had a really nice trade on it, and I was actually able to identify that the dilution was finishing up and the overhang. Ended up getting lucky. The company actually PR'd the same DD that I had found. I don't know if it was this. It might have been the same morning, or I mean, at the absolute latest, it was the next day, and we caught a 60% bump while everyone else was chasing. Ended up being a really nice trade for me personally, and I know a lot of people who follow me, so that made me really happy. But just to walk you guys through this, I mean, it's kind of old and the trade already happened. It still definitely plays into the story, but for anybody who missed it, I'll just for shits and giggles, I'll show you how I found that and how I was able to tell that was going to happen ahead of time. So the first whiff of this story, I believe, there might have been one earlier. Well, the most pertinent one was there was an 8K on the 8th related to the note and the overhang. There was only one active note that's converting here. It was a massive note, and on the 8th they stated basically that they had 56,000 left, which is peanuts. I was able to identify over the course of the next week or so that the churn was probably sufficient to have gotten rid of the rest of that 56,000. All I really did was just look at the chart, and for me personally, I like to read level 2 and read tape, but you could have just told from the chart that they were probably done with this, and lo and behold, here we are 7 days later. And I think only about one big volume session later, the company ended up doing a press release, and they stated that this is obviously the 8K for the PR, so there was an official PR from the company as well, but they stated that these were converted, and basically now it's a 0 on that note. If you go over and just to look at this from another view, you can see the note was from February 2024, and now they have nothing left on it, so sort of confirms the DD that we found elsewhere in the SEC filings. So, first things first, we have a setup with a very low float. Probably the float got this low in terms of how it ended up trading down here because of dilution. And now for people who aren't doing their homework, they're not recognizing that we have basically a value play here that shouldn't be as cheap as it is. The only reason it's down here is it's a stock that was diluting, and now they're not diluting anymore. So that's the first angle here that makes YCBD extremely interesting. In terms of compliance risk, this is kind of an interesting setup because it is an NYSE setup. Compliance is a little more tricky for NYSE, but we have this notice of delisting. This is another thing I love about this setup is everything's super clean. If you notice, they don't have a ton of filings, and the filings are all super transparent. They're not leaving us in the dark as loyal shareholders. So you do have this notice of delist when it comes to NYSE. I didn't see anything about $1 compliance, although I'm sure that'll come up eventually. So this was actually a stockholders' equity issue. States they were under the 2.5 million. Now they're not. Sorry, under 4 million for NYSE. So as they've been converting, they should be over that. But the most important piece, really the main takeaway from this filing is that they have until December 5th, 2025 before they even have risk of a delist. So that means they have a chance to get back into compliance with all this stuff, including, I believe, going back over $1. They have literally 10 months to do that, which is basically an eternity in penny stock terms. So no worries on the delist either. So no dilution worries, no delist worries, and there's no record of a split or any desire to do so for the company. So we don't have to worry about that either. Although if a split was announced, I don't really think it would trade all that poorly with this kind of float anyway. It might trade down a little bit, but I doubt it would get super wrecked. It'd probably be a good opportunity to average down or something. But like I say, I really doubt a split is coming when they have so much time for compliance. I'm sure they'll give it the old college try in terms of regaining organically. So finally, and what I think is the most pertinent right now is, yes, this is a weed company. Yes, this is a CBD company. Some of you guys might remember in my last video, I am very interested in the RFK situation when it comes to weed and the psychedelics sectors. But that's actually not what's drawing my interest here, believe it or not. So YCBD, what's very interesting is this company has earnings coming up on Thursday. Now, most of the time when you have a low float stock and sort of these, sort of startup-looking type companies, earnings are either a non-event or there's something that you want to kind of cross the street and run away from if they're, because a lot of times they're really ugly. But what's super interesting about the YCBD setup is that fundamentally this company's actually turning around. So you have, yes, revenues are going down, but they went from hemorrhaging money, losing multiple millions a year. I mean, 2023 they lost $7 million. And now, this past quarter, they quietly snuck in their first income positive quarter. Okay? This is extremely rare. You see a company basically in turnaround mode here. And it sort of piques my curiosity where I have to wonder, what's the next quarter going to look like? Is this going to be an even better number? And you got to remember, this is on a quarterly basis for a $3.5 million company. So the argument can be made that we're looking at basically a fundamentally sound setup, guys. Super interesting, super rare, not something you come across extremely commonly when it comes to small caps. So I think that this earnings date on Thursday could be a very significant catalyst. Either could see a run up into it, or even better. I mean, this is something a lot of times I like to kind of buy the rumor and sell the news, as you guys know, but this is kind of a different situation, guys. This is something where I might want to be holding into the earnings. I think that if the company's smart, and especially if they issue a PR with the right kind of headline and the right wording, this could be a very big news play, even for buyers on the PR. But even better if we get to size in and swing this from cheaper and earlier and a lower stress situation, which, as you know, is my favorite thing to do. So that's pretty much all I got for YCBD. We have a super clean setup with very little risk that's going into likely very good earnings, and basically we're looking at something that is a rare level of fundamentally sound when it comes to sub-dollar and penny stock type companies. So definitely worth a look. I'll be swinging this personally into earnings unless something crazy changes. Feel free to do the same, and happy trading. Just before I wrap this video up, I did want to give you guys an update on my first company that I featured in my first video. Obviously, SPRC traded really well after the video. Ended up hitting new highs of almost 60 cents that day on very light volume, which tells me that the dilution is still super light. I'm still in this, guys. I'm not posting videos to sell. I'm not posting videos for some kind of fly-by-night situation. Okay, if I post something, it means I think it's going to be a slow, safe grind, and my hope is that everyone sort of has time to get in and make money on it. As usual, buy dips, sell rips, and all that stuff, because the companies go up and down a lot on their way to the moon. But I'm still in this. I actually averaged up today a little bit from the high 40s, so just wanted to give you guys an update on that. And just wanted to sort of give you an idea about what these videos are really about. Like, you guys don't need to try to look for flips. A lot of them, I'm sure, if they're trading clean, are not going to be super high volume. So they're really not like fly-by-night quick trades. They're supposed to be medium, if not long-term swing trades, unless something major changes. So, eyes on the prize here still for SPRC. I think this is still going to be a really good swing. It's still one of my favorites. So just to give you guys a little update on that. But other than that, let's have a good rest of our week. As I said, message received loud and clear when it comes to the videos. I'm really happy you guys are enjoying them, and I'm going to do my best to keep them coming whenever I have time. So as usual, like and subscribe, do whatever you want to do. If you're enjoying things, the support and that free dopamine really keeps me going. So I appreciate you guys. Much love, and everybody have a good rest of the day here, and I'm sure we'll touch base soon. All right, deuces.